What is up, everybody? It's Scotty here with Flat Track Flashback, and American Flat Track Racing is back at it. We've got back-to-back weekends. California, here we come. Just like the Phantom Planet song from the OC, which, by the way, one of the best shows of all time. Chef's Kiss. If you haven't seen it, get an HBO Max subscription, or maybe it's on Hulu. I don't remember. I know it's on Max for sure, but I got the DVDs. Y'all ever heard of a DVD? I hope so. Anyway, the OC, Adam Brody, legend. Rachel Bilson, stunning. You're missing out if you haven't watched it. And what we've been missing out on is flat track racing, at least American Flat Track Racing, the national series. They're back-to-back weekends, first in Ventura and then up to Chico for Silver Dollar. Mixed in amongst that, you've got several outlaw races going on. You've got Kern Raceway and Bakersfield the night before Ventura. And then leading up to Silver Dollar, you've got Lodi and then Cycle Land sort of bookending the weekend up in Chico with a race on Friday and Sunday. We'll highlight those here in a little bit. When we talk to a rider who is making his pro debut this weekend, it's somebody we're pretty stoked to see out on the track. So I'm going to slide this chair over to another workstation, throw the hat off, put some headphones on, and let's dial him up.
All right, so let's welcome him in. 6 AMA Amateur National Championships from Salinas, California. Kage, the Rage Tadman. What is up, man? How we doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Hey, I appreciate you taking time to chat with us. We got a big couple of weeks ahead for you. But before we go into racing and everything, you and I got to speak at Winter Throwdown a couple of years ago, real brief at the end of the night. Let's just talk a little bit about Kage Tadman. Tell us about yourself. How's life out in California? What's life like for you, man?
Pretty much just school. I'm trying to get through school and then so I can do full-time racing. But other than that, don't really skateboard much anymore. Just kind of hang out with my friends, do some fishing, or go moto riding. That's pretty much what we do.
And what made you give up skateboarding?
Just injuries. I got injured too much, and I wanted to focus more on racing. So I was like, all right, I think we got to stick to racing.
Being in Salinas, being in California, you're not that far from the beach. So like, why flat track as opposed to like surfing, motos, speedway? What drew you to flat track racing?
You know, I was 4 years old, and I was living out one of the old houses in town, and one of our neighbors, Rick Cremona, said, you know, he's go to one of these races, and we ended up going to the old R&P races and stuff like that out in Salinas, and then I just been hooked, man. I mean, I tried some other stuff, but I didn't really enjoy it as much as flat track.
One of the neat things about being in California, at least from what I can tell from some of the stuff you share on social media, is it's one of the few areas in the country where you can pretty much race year round. You guys have a ton of stuff going on all season. Just kind of tell us about some of the tracks that you try to hit throughout the year, whether they be outdoor facilities or indoor stuff.
You know, we try to hit a wide variety of tracks. You know what I mean? We don't like to get stuck on one type of track, but we do a lot of Lodi or Bakersfield and stuff like that. And then if we get the chance, we'll go down. Like the other weekend, we went to Arizona, did a little barn burner over there, and that was neat. And just this year, we're going to try to go back east a little bit more, but definitely just try to get out more.
What goes into making those East Coast trips happen? So like the first time I got to see you was actually in South Carolina on an 85 back in, I think, 2020. We talked about briefly, like chatted at Winter Throwdown. What goes into making those trips across country?
A lot does, you know. Dad, mom, they help out a lot. A lot of sponsors help us out to get out there. It's hard, you know. Dad, mom got to take time off work, and I got to take time off school. But whenever we do get the chance, we'll make it out.
You guys tend to roll pretty deep. It seemed like everybody was loading their stuff into a trailer down there in Callahan. In addition to that, who are some of the guys from California that you generally travel with?
So we had a Jackson Joyner. His dad took out our stuff. We had Bits Hayes out there, and Ethan Salmon, and all those guys. Jackson Brown were out there. All the Cali guys. So that's what we like to do. We like to try to figure it out ourselves and just kind of roll out all there together.
Tell us a little bit about those journeys and like hanging out with those guys.
They're fun, you know. It's I got a lot of friends, especially out of California, but to kind of go out there and travel the country with the guys that I grew up racing with down here, it's nice.
Who would you say are some of your like biggest like rivals? What are your fiercest battles back home first, and then from there, I want you to branch out and sort of talk about some of your bigger competitors at like amateur nationals and stuff when you do make these travels.
So here we got Bitts Hay and James Arnez, and then there's some other older guys, but those are mainly the big competition. But when we travel back east, man, I feel like everybody's competition. There's not usually one or two guys that are fast, but everybody else is pretty fast.
Yeah, how long are you guys going to let Tony Myring beat up on you at Lodi?
Oh man, I feel like he'll never mess up. He'll be 60 years old and still be winning the Open A class.
You talked about hitting different types of racetracks out in California, just to sort of keep a skill set pretty fresh. What are some of your favorite facilities out there? I mean, obviously, like Lodi has so much history and so much sort of everybody knows about that. But what are some of the other facilities that you've raced at, and what are the tracks that you enjoy the most?
Man, I do really miss the Chowchilla Barn Burner. Bakersfield, I really enjoy, or Paris, just like those kind of cushion short tracks is something that I'm real comfortable on.
Did you ever get to do Willow Springs?
We did, yep. Willow Springs I like, but it's tricky. Willow Springs is it's a whole different track from here, but I feel like especially the tracks back east, it's way different from those too.
How often do you get to go out there? I know for a while there was a huge like pro-am race that they would run out there, mid 2010s. Do you know sort of what happened with that race and that facility in general?
Honestly, I don't. I think it just kind of died down and kind of different promoters, and then less people started going. But they usually have a race maybe once or twice every year.
So growing up in California, there's a lot of history. There's a lot of super talented riders. Looking over the shoulder here, we got that poster of Ricky Graham. Who were coming up? Who were some of the people who sort of were influences on you as a rider? And then on top of that, like who sort of like was like a mentor to you coming up and like sort of helped you like progress through your program?
Mikey Rush and Stevie Bonzi, those two guys. I mean, I still talk to Stevie on the regular, and we'll still see him out at the races. But man, those two, I always wanted to be like those two guys. I always try to copy their style, and yeah, just to be like those two guys.
You have such an attack like on when you're riding. Your style is really noticeable. It's something that really caught my attention. Is you just seem like you are charging at all times. It's really fun to watch. Tell me about just like let's talk about Ventura and Chico coming up. This is your pro debut. Um, why did you guys decide to start in California versus Florida?
We were trying to make it out to Daytona, but some things didn't work out. I mean, we didn't have bike or the leathers and everything, just like that, or even the funding to go out there. So we made the call to do the Cali rounds, and then I think after that we might do some others, but the two main focus is just Ventura and Chico.
With that, there's still a lot of racing going on around that time. Are you guys going to hit any of the other events that are happening during that little Western swing for AFT?
Oh yeah, we're gonna try to hit as much as we can. The night before Ventura, we're gonna race at Bakersfield, and then the night before Chico, we're gonna do Lodi and then Cycle Land. So bunch of racing in these next 2 weeks.
For people who've never raced out there, what can you expect from those tracks that you're going to hit? Like, I mean, Lodi pretty grooved up, pretty fast. But for people who maybe haven't seen videos of Bakersfield or Cycle Land, what do you expect from those tracks, and how would you describe sort of the style and the surface there?
Bakersfield, just a little kind of short track. It has banking to it. DG, but it does get kind of brushed off towards the end of the night. But I'm expecting Cycle Land to be kind of like Lodi. It's just kind of like a short cart track and real tacky dirt clay. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Of the two AFT rounds, have you raced at either of those tracks before? I feel like I've seen video of you at Ventura before.
Yeah, I've raced some of the outlaw races out at Ventura.
Of Ventura and Silver Dollar, where do you feel like your riding style is going to fit best? And I guess what are you hoping to see out of those two tracks in a
I'm
perfect
looking,
world for Kage Tadman?
yeah, I'm looking to at least make mains on both tracks, but I think I'm really looking forward to Ventura just because I can just run the top and hit the cush and hang loose. You know what I mean? Or if we need to, I can kind of run the bottom a little bit out there. But yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to is Ventura.
It's always been fun to follow. Again, being coming from a sprint car background and sort of like with flat track as well, you have sort of your series regulars that are able to do the tour, but the sport really relies on these local pockets. to bring out more riders and help boost the field. And it's always been interesting to follow sort of the California riders when the series would go to a Calistoga, Paris, a Sacramento, and who all would show up. You're probably going to be a little biased when I ask this, but where do you feel like is the most difficult district to race in and to compete in?
District, I don't know, but I know like let's say clay half miles or even like pea gravel half miles is something that I really struggle on, just because there's really nothing like that out here. So the only time I really get to ride those is back east.
Cool, cool. So, yeah, the PA kids definitely love the car tracks. The Illinois kids and Ohio kids seem to love the cushion, and then you guys love the bar banging out there in
Yeah.
California. Favorite rider?
Oof. Right now, my favorite rider for the singles. Oh, that's hard, man. I've been really enjoying watching Sadoff, and when Cop was racing, I really looked up to Cop, and then definitely for the twins, I got to go for my boy B Rob.
Okay, right on,
Yep.
right on. So if there's one track that you would love to see a national be held at that's not on the schedule, where would you love to see AFT host a round?
I'd really like Medina. I really want to go to Medina. I think a national over there would be pretty cool. But that's definitely one of those tracks I really want to go to.
Would you rather break while leading a race or get passed on the last lap for a win?
I think if I was in that situation, I'd probably have to get past.
Win a if you so Daytona Bike Week question. Would you rather away from flat track? Would you rather win Daytona Supercross or Daytona 200?
Supercross.
Okay. You have a favorite Supercross rider? Do you follow that series at all?
Tomac. Yep, gotta go for Tomac or let's see. I really like Deegan. I like that his mentality and he kind of doesn't really care. So yeah, I'm into those two guys.
And for somebody who rides a KTM, big Yamaha fan over here.
Yeah.
I guess what? All right, all right. Fair enough. How would you? There's all those rumors going around on who's going to switch over to Ducati when that steps into Supercross. Who would you like to see on that team?
I think Sexton. I think Sexton might go to Ducati, or I think that'd be pretty cool to see him out there.
Or maybe Kage Tadman hops on a Ducati for AFT next year.
I really hope, man. That'd be pretty tight. Hopefully, we can get our hands on one.
Going back through your amateur career, tell us about sort of what's like a major highlight. What's a day at the racetrack that really sticks out in your mind, whether it be a championship or like a race win or just a crazy battle. What's something that really sticks in your mind?
It's got to be Nationals of 2021. That year, we ran the 485 classes, and I was able to get a good lead in the TT and the short track and points, and then kind of stay up front a little bit on the half miles. But I was able to win all 4 championships that year, so I think that was one of the most fun years on 85s.
What goes in, especially like a amateur nationals weekend? You go from short track to TT to half mile to the mile. How much thrashing are you guys doing on setup from day to day? I've always been curious about that.
On 450s, we're doing quite a bit. I remember 85s. We would do some changes here and there, but I think once we kind of found something I was comfortable with, we'd pretty much just keep it. But definitely, like on the 450s, we'd race, let's say short track, and then the next day we'd have the day off and spend a couple hours changing oil, air filters, and working on the bikes, changing wheels and stuff like that. And then the next day race, let's say the TT or the mile or the half mile, something like that.
What were some of the adjustments you had to make? Was any particular displacement more difficult to sort of get a grip on, or?
I think 250s were pretty tricky. It was just like kind of that jump from the 2 strokes to the 4 strokes, and it's a whole different bike, And I'm still a smaller kid, so trying to hop on that big 250 was pretty challenging. But mainly just like the power curve and power delivery, and then moving up to 450s, it was I kind of got used to it a little bit, but it was just that like sometimes I don't need to use all the power that I have on that 450.
I guess that's one of those things that trying to control that, and sometimes slower is faster, and trying to stay smooth. That's a big thing. Who's helping out with your program this year?
So this year we've got my mom and my dad at Old Oak Ranch. We've got Jerry Stinchfield. He's with Roof Systems. He's helping us out a little bit. John Parker's a big contributor in our race program. Chris Dinner Heating, and Jimbo Fairley helps out a lot. Chris Herding just built me a mountain bike. He just we got custom fitted for it, and he welded and built the whole bike for me. So very fortunate for that. And man, we've got Toily Designs. He's been helping us out, and just many other people.
Is there anything else that you want to just sort of hype up, talk about? Anything you want people to know about yourself before heading into this pro debut?
Not really, man. I mean, just trying to train and get ready for this upcoming season, and then just hopefully I can do perform pretty well and get some eyes on me. Looking for maybe so we can get a ride next year.
What? Yeah, I actually do want to touch on training real quick. What do you feel is the biggest benefit to your training program as a whole?
Just the endurance. Just trying to endurance or train my endurance and just getting out on the bike. I think that's the best thing that for me.
Are you ever able to go out to a track and like sort of practice? You know, people do like motos for Supercross, motocross. Are you able to go out to a track and like set like a 6 minute +2 lap and try to like do something like that as far as like a training for yourself, or is that a little more difficult to do?
On moto, yeah. I mean, there's Hollister Hills and stuff like that. There's some moto tracks a couple hours from me, so I mean, we can make the drive out there and do some motos out there. But necessarily for flat track, there's not really any place where we could practice.
Kage, thank you so much for your time. I
Thank you.
appreciate the conversation. It's good chatting with you. Like I said, we are hyped. We're super excited to see you make your debut down there in Ventura. This year's rookie class is really fun, including yourself. A lot of people debuting at different times throughout the year. So excited to see you mix it up out there. And Ethan Kitchen set the bar kind of high, getting that top 10 in Daytona. So no pressure, but you got to beat that.
Yep, definitely.
All right, my man. Well, have a great night, and we will see you. We'll see you at the racetrack. Keep the content going that you do on your socials. It's been great. Yeah, whatever posts you can get to help us feed into our fix whenever we're not able to make the races out there. Hopefully, one year I'll be able to make it to California. But thank you so much for taking time to do this, and we look forward to your debut.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yep. Take care, man.
Later.
Another huge thank you to Kage Tadman for taking time to chat with us. It was awesome to catch up with him, and looking forward to seeing what he can do in the rounds that he can make this year on the American Flat Track circuit. So now we'll do a little left coast look ahead, and we'll talk about these couple of rounds they got coming up. I'm gonna make it quick. Just a couple of things to highlight. We're not going to do a video in between each round. There's a lot of racing, like we talked about, going on in between those two races, and I think I might want to start dialing up some riders if they're willing to chat with me on this channel. I really appreciate every single rider who's taken time to help with various videos that have been on this channel, and just whether you've talked to me in the pits or or for the channel, thank you so much, man. It's still kind of unbelievable that that American flat track racers, professional flat track racers, and any flat track racer wants to have a conversation with me, man. It's still a little starstruck every time I get to see you guys. But thank you all so much for doing what you do. And as we look ahead to the two California races in the singles class, no surprise, Chase Sadoff and Tom Dran starting to separate themselves. Chase coming off of that win in Sonoy, and Tom still another podium, but looking for his first victory of the 2025 season. And Tom was the winner in Ventura last year, but didn't have the best time at Chico. Ended up on the ground, had to fight his way back into a sixth place finish. One of the two sort of negative results that he had on the year that really set him back in his championship chase. But Tom, Chase Sadoff, and Cody Kaup, the only people who've led laps in the main event at Ventura. Tom, with his two performances at Ventura, we mentioned the first place finish from last year. He was seventh in his debut year there in 2023. Chase is coming off of finishes of second and in fifth at Ventura, fifth place last year after leading for a while, and then just kind of getting caught up in the battles and faded back to fifth in that race. But over the past 2 years, Sadoff has led both main events at Ventura. He's led 22 laps there, and he finished second at Chico in 2024. So these are tracks where Chase has been solid. His runner-up at Chico was to Cody Kaup, who's not running the series. So again, doors come wide open with a lot of riders that we're going to talk about being able to take advantage of, potentially people who've moved on from the sport or up into a different class. And one rider who I think is gonna be prone to put in a really solid ride out there in California is going to be Trevor Brunner, who was fifth place at Ventura back in 2023, and coming off of that performance. When we look back on that, some of the riders that finished ahead of him, Cody Kopp, Morgan Michelin, Max Whale, not in the singles class right now. So Bruner could be poised to have a strong run out there in Ventura. He's gotten to do some short track racing, got a little beat up at RVA, but still Trevor, a very aggressive rider. And if he gets to start up front and look out, I think Trevor could be getting that Turner bike on top of the box sooner rather than later. And then with Chico last year, Trevor was in the dash on the twin before the night kind of got away from him there in the main event. So these are a couple of tracks that could be pretty good to Bruner, who's pretty solid on those clay tracks. Coming off of his first podium, Evan Renshaw, third place last round at Sonoy, and looking to carry some momentum here into California. Evan, another rider, he finished sixth at Ventura last year, but aside from Tom and Chase, none of the riders that finished ahead of him are still in the class. With Trent Lowe moving up and Dalton Gauthier being injured and Cody Kopp moving on from flat track racing into the Talent Cup circuit with Moto America. This gives Evan another opportunity to really build on that in Ventura if it ends up being like a loose, cushiony short track like our guy Tadman's hoping for him. And this could be a big opportunity for Evan Renshaw and that First Impressions Racing team to get that first win for him. And Evan's fifth in points, not far back. Several riders still very much within striking distance of Tom and Chase, but they've got to find a way to put those two riders behind them. Evan, like we said, sixth at Ventura last year, seventh at Chico, looking to build upon those results. In addition to wanting to improve on results, how about Taryn Santero, who was in the Dash for Cash at Chico? He finished fourth in the main event last year. Taryn hasn't had the best start to 2025, but he's had some glimpses of solid performances. He was in the Dash there one night in Daytona. And like we said, Taryn last year in the Dash at Chico. At the time, it was his best finish in the singles class with that fourth place. Taryn going back home to California that night before the National when they go up to Lodi. That's a race that Taryn's been just working the past couple of years. So they'll be looking to defend that crown and build some of that momentum. Santero could be a sneaky pick in the singles class when the series goes out to California. Couple riders who are going to be coming back. First of which is going to be Braden Fanders, who made that announcement here on his social media page recently, and it's going to be great to see Braden back after that really, really scary crash with he and Dalton Gauthier and Sonoy. He's been an absolute gasser to start the season, a couple of top fives, was in the hunt potentially for a win. I feel like he and Dalton would have put on a great show for us in the main event if they hadn't had that tangle in the dash. Again, Dalton's still recovering. We wish him all the best and hope to see him back in June when the series heads to Missouri. But Fanders going to be heading out to California and contesting those rounds. And man, talk about a redemption story if Braden can get right back up in the mix for a win when the series heads to these two short tracks. Also coming back, we'll get to see Chad Coase back on the track after he had to miss Sonoy. And I know Chad's looking to put those rough performances that he had at Daytona behind him. And this could be just a brand new start to Chad's season. He's not really in the championship hunt now, but go out there and just click off some wins. Originally the Cali kid, now residing in Florida. We'll be looking forward to seeing what Coase can do on that First Impressions bike. And the rider who filled in for him in Sonoy, he picked up that sixth place finish, Declan Bender. Declan's on the pre-entry list on a KTM and looking to play a spoiler as well when the series heads to California. So just a few little nuggets of information there with the singles class, and should be some really exciting racing. We got treated to a great race at Ventura both years. Chase and Cody with that battle the first year, and then we had 5 riders in the hunt for the win there last year. So that's going to be a fun class, as it always is. And just a matter of, can anybody get up there and shake up Chase and Tom, or are they going to, just go ahead and walk off with all the wins again this year? They've set the standard really high, and we're just waiting to see who's going to step up and put it to those two. But got to be thinking that Chase and Tom are going to be your favorites to win until somebody does come knock that door down. Into the twins class, 1 point separates Dallas Daniels and Briar Bauman, and as luck would have it, Dallas Daniels and Briar Bauman, the two riders who've won at Ventura the past couple of years. So they have to be riding a wave of confidence, more so probably Briar after that amazing ride in Sonoy and getting that 1-2 finish on the Harley with himself and Brandon Robinson, while Dallas has had to kind of sit with that third place from Sonoy, but still the points leader after sweeping Daytona, and Dallas having a good time down in Florida playing backyard golf with Max and Will there, and giving us some better content than even the Masters you want to see a scene like no other, or whatever the phrase is. I don't know. I'm more of a tennis fan than a golf fan, but Dallas and Max and them have been giving us some really entertaining content on social media. So Dallas ready to come out, not just swinging the club, but swinging that bike back to a top spot when we head to Ventura and Chico. Dallas had that big time battle with Jared Mees at Chico last year, one of my favorite twins races of the year. So we'll see what happens with those two as they continue their title fight on throughout the rest of the season. And a rider looking to continue to improve on the year after a less than stellar Daytona and a strong run at Sonoy before it got away. Brandon Robinson, looking for that first win on the year. He had a pretty good ride going in Chico, was on the podium till he and Sammy Halbert had that late race battle that saw Sammy prevail. Brandon, though, is looking to put some of his woes from Ventura behind him. 2023, not a good year at Ventura. 2024, top 5, but Ventura has not been kind to B-Rob in the past. He's going to be looking to flip that script and improve on the results that he's had there in the past. And then Chico is a track that I really think, even though he wasn't really up in the fight with Dallas and Jared last year, it's a track that Brandon, I think, could be very, very dangerous at here in 2025. You think about what could have been for Jared Vanderkooi before the penalty in Sonoy, and Jared last year at these 2 California races came home with a 4th and a 6th, and has looked really, really good on that KTM in Sonoy. He was so fast. And if we get any sort of high line like Ian Wolf showed you there in Chico, I think of the 2 rounds, I would probably pick Vanderkooi to be more of a threat at Chico than Ventura, but you just never know. Vanderkooi was just so impressive there in Sonoy, and just gutted for what happened to him in that main event. But to come back and be right there in the top 5, just a couple laps into that main event, turn the fastest lap of the race. He was ripping around the outside in Georgia, and excited to see what that program with Jared is able to do throughout the rest of the year on those KTMs. Another KTM rider who's been putting together a really strong year, tied for 3rd in points. That's Davis Fisher down in the box. He's been up in the front fighting for wins, been in challenge races, and Davis was fast qualifier at Ventura last year before the night completely fell apart on him. But that's a track that Davis has shown speed at, and we'll see what he can put together when the series heads back out to the West Coast. Davis is a rider, either he or Jared won. They're going to win this year. I feel it. Maybe both of them get a win this year. Who knows? They've both been super competitive, and we're part of that epic battle in Sonoy that I'm going to be thinking about the whole rest of the year, because I don't know how any race could top that. But hey, maybe we'll get one of those races out of California that just is just a knockdown, drag out fight like Sonoy was. I know we as spectators would absolutely love to see that. So curious to see what the 2 KTMs of Jared Vanderkooi and Davis Fisher are able to do here when the series heads to California. And then just building off of strong years as well, James Ott, Trent Lowe. Trent, after putting the boxing gloves on in Capital City when he hopped back on the 450, now he's going to be back over on the twin, but with some short track racing during this downtime behind him, and maybe a little cash up there in Virginia. Trent gets back on the twin and has had a really, really good year so far. Consistent results inside the top 10. And I feel like a top 5 is not far off for that Honda, which is really exciting. And Trent on these tracks, he podiumed both of these events on the 450 last year. We'll see what he's able to do with the Honda Twin this year. It's just been really impressive on that bike. And then James Ott with the G&G Yamaha, that team based out of California. Would be super exciting to see Ott continue to turn some solid laps and get up there fighting for wins. Both of those riders were in that battle in Sonoy toward the front before, James was in the battle. Trent wasn't really quite up in the mix until the end. He was able to sneak by James later in that race to come home 6th. But going to be looking forward to seeing what these 2 riders can put together out there. If I had to throw out sort of a dark horse contender, keep your eye on Dan Bromley when we head to California. His best finish last year came at Chico when he was 7th. And Dan has shown a lot of speed on that Suzuki, especially earlier in the nights. Man, if he can put himself up front in a heat race, get in one of those challenge races and be on the front row for a main event, he could definitely be a factor. Bromley, not afraid to send it on these short tracks, and could be somebody to keep an eye on and maybe get up there and shake up the order a little bit when we head to these 2 short tracks out in California. But yeah, just really excited to have back-to-back weekends of racing. When you look at the upcoming schedule, there's just a lot of gaps. We've got a good bit of racing going on in California, but then we've got over a month until the series heads to Lucas Oil Speedway in Wheatland, Missouri, and then we get the Lima doubleheader at the end of June that leads into the DuQuoin Mile and Amateur Nationals week. So just gonna enjoy. The spring is here, the allergies are here, but racing, my friends, is here. A lot of it coming up. If you're in California, please support those local outlaw races. Please support AFT races if you can. I feel like we're in for some pretty exciting storylines when the series finishes up in California. Like we said, it's going to be there's not going to be a video between the rounds, between all the racing that's going on for the riders and my sprint car commitments, plus a friend's wedding, plus my dad's birthday, and my mom is also having surgery. So if y'all could keep her in your prayers. She goes through that. Just a lot happening, but we'll try to get a recap video and talk about the fallout from California whenever those rounds are done and see where our points battles are looking as we head into our spring break, I guess. A lot of time off before Wheatland, like we said. So thank you guys so much for watching this. If you haven't already and you like what we're doing, please subscribe to the channel, like, comment, share, all that jazz that we're supposed to say. If you don't like us, the thumbs down. You can dislike the videos. You can comment that you don't like us. But I appreciate feedback regardless. And thank you guys again for watching this. Please follow those YouTube channels and podcasts that have done stuff for the sport. Scotty Doodler's still rocking those Off the Groove pods every Friday. It was cool that he had Jeffrey Carver on this past week. Good to hear from the Wizard. Yeah, guys, just let's keep doing what we can to support the sport. The riders with their content on social media is fun to follow, and hopefully get to see a lot of that coming through these California races. So, yeah, thank y'all so much for checking this out. And cool, yeah, California, dude, let's go.